Oh, I can already see the comments on this video being like, no, this is why competitive 40k is so cringy. It's like the trolls are already chilling below the video and waiting and watching and still having terrible opinions. What's up, everybody? My name is Trevi. Welcome back to Tactical Tortoise, and today I'm gonna be leaning back in my old-timey rocking chair in front of a roaring fire, playing a few minutes of the technical masterpiece that was the video game Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, and talking about some of the juicy drama around the Las Vegas Open 2020 40K GT. So as the largest tabletop gaming competition in the world, LVO was bound to have some drama associated with it, and 2020 did not disappoint. This year, Frontline Gaming implemented a card system to track rules infractions and misconduct more easily. Judges could award yellow cards for players breaking the rules or generally being dicks to other people, and 3 yellow cards equaled a red card and being thrown out of the event. While we saw a light sprinkling of yellow cards to the usual suspects, only one player was actually ejected from the GT for receiving a red card, and the reason is actually hilarious. Now, I'm not going to name names since I'm working on third-hand knowledge of the event, and the person in question isn't here to defend themselves, but it's 2020, so you can probably put on your little detective hat and find out who it is on your own. And here's what I know. 2 of the yellow cards in question were issued before the event even started. One was for a list error, which could have been anything from a dumb formatting issue to trying to put free stuff in their list and getting away with it. The second was for registering under the wrong team name. Now, the way that the Best Coast pairing system works is that it will try as hard as possible not to pair players in the same team together on the first round. The player in question registered with the Beast Coast team, a team that they were not actually a part of. And the reason for this wasn't just to show solidarity with their favorite 40k team, it was purposefully to avoid players from that team for as long as possible. With strong players like TJ Lanigan and Nick Nanavati registered to Beast Coast, trying to dodge them makes a lot of sense, but it's also highly illegal and super visible since your team registration is listed right there in the BCP app. Not being very discreet there, bud. The final straw occurred on day 2 of the GT when this person got their 3rd yellow card and resulting red card and all expenses paid trip straight out of the event for moving one of their opponent's models. Now, that doesn't sound so bad, except that it was in front of a judge, and while that same judge was trying to make a ruling about the position of that unit in question. Like, come on, man, are you even trying to cheat right in front of a judge? Like, it's total amateur hour up in here, dude. Now, jokes aside, the heavier enforcement of rules and decorum in 40k events is, as far as I know, a relatively new thing, with Frontline Gaming enforcing its card system and other events following suit. I come from more heavily policed games like War Machine and Hordes and X-Wing, so I thought it was common knowledge that stepping away from the table and letting a judge or TO do their thing for a particularly important ruling was the standard practice, but I guess it's not in 40k. As a little PSA, I tend to use my TOs and judges as a resource, which I'm sure my local TOs hate me for. Anytime a contentious measurement or LOS check is needed, you just call them up, get everything resolved quickly and easily without anyone getting testy or feeling shortchanged by the interaction. Interactions by players like the one that resulted in that player's ejection and half a dozen other similar stories that came out of LVO are one of the big reasons that competitive tabletop games get a bad rap. But for folks who aren't used to the competitive scene in tabletop games, you should know that this is by no means the standard. Remember that half dozen instances I mentioned at LVO are out of a scene of 800 people. And while I can't say that every game went perfectly smoothly, I'm willing to bet that that number covered a lot of the uncomfortable interactions people found themselves in over the weekend. Cheaters and bullies are such a vast minority of the competitive gaming experience that it boggles the mind. And the most die-hard win-at-all-cost dickweeds aren't even in the upper echelon of competitive play. Do you think that Nick Nanavati or Richard Sigler need to scumbag you out of a measurement or use weighted dice to win games? Nah, dude. They're just gonna beat you because they're better than you. So if you're new to the competitive scene, don't be afraid of the tiny outlier of players in the middle tables who are so invested in their win percentages. But as the game leans more towards a sport and less of a hobby, the enforcement of rules is going to become even more paramount, People's feelings be damned. Unfortunately, Games Workshop sucks at their job and I think purposefully writes their rules to engender conflict between its players, which is something that I'm sure I'll talk about in a future video. So it's up to the community and organizations like Frontline Gaming and Pro Tabletop who are trying to forge the game into a more competitively viable form to pick up the slack. There's gonna be a lot of hurt feelings and cheating dipshits to leave behind along the way, but in the end, I think that this push will leave the game better for it. If you guys have any stories of cheating douchebags that you want to get off your chest, drop them down in the comments and let's talk about some juicy drama and let's make it constructive. Let's talk about the best ways to police the game to be fair and more fun for everybody. I think it's important that we start a discussion on cheating and the enforcement of the rules. So if you have any thoughts or insights on that too, let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this more laid-back style of video. Drop a like down below and maybe a subscribe if you did. And as always, happy wargaming, folks.